Hey everybody, you know what time it is? It's about to be that time.
What's up, y'all? You know what time it is? It's about to be that time.
We're here for One Piece 1143. We're gonna see what happens today. Be sure to like the stream. Looks like YouTube was not pushing the stream out today. Normally we have over 100 people in here. Today we have like a quarter of that. People are starting to come in. Get started here. Alrighty. I don't know anything about the chapter, so that's the way that, I like to come into these things. We've got a color spread this week. Speed is the weapon. Okay, they're all on flying fish. They've got jumpsuits. This one's fun. Sanji looks good in green. He should wear more green. Basically never does. So. That's interesting. I see Jinbei in the water. That. You're on page 3 now. Shout out to everybody in chat. Alright, hey wait y'all. We got 1143, the chapter is called Holy Knights. Ilva, Mag, Ranya. Wow, they're really sleepwalking. Okay, so these are the names of these kids. What's this white cloth? Where are y'all going? Be careful, Saul. Remember, the other teacher said not to touch the children. He was all bloody. I know he did, but I don't see nothing wrong with them. It's dangerous for them to keep walking like that. Okay, so let's see what happens. Okay. Come on, let's get back to school. Second he touches the kids, boom, mysterious vines. Okay, so we'll take that.
Another one.
The moment I saw Summer's design, I said vine powers. He had a little bit of a rose, so I was like, this guy's got to have like the Thorn, no me, Vine, no me, Rose, something like that. Now, the interesting thing here is that, and I don't know if this is because the power is sort of manifesting at this particular time or something, but everything looks hollow. So are they like ghost vines in some way? Like, I don't know. Probably thinking too hard on that, so I'm just gonna continue with this. Alright, so Saul gets stabbed. Yeah, what was that, Saul? What happened? Did something stab you? Okay, now we got a phone call happening. This is the Walrus School. All the children have suddenly fallen asleep. Got Ange on the phone. And out of those, 9 of them started walking. We don't know where they're going. Western Village. Okay, so they're talking to Dory and Brogy. It's not clear why or how this is happening. Kids at the school. My son's there too, someone says in the crowd. There's also been a surge of strange monsters from the forest. Monsters and children safe. Children are traveling down branch route 8. Okay, so that's an indication of how they categorize their streets. We now have a new snail. We haven't had a new snail in a really long time. Transponder Bill Pug. only works in Elbaf. Okay. Copy that. And there's a fire too. What's with all this sudden danger? Okay, so we're seeing Brook. Brook still has his skull in a precarious place. Something happened back at school. Next page. You say branch 8. It's not looking good over there. Someone's on top of the building. Oh no, that's the school where my granddaughter's granddaughter. Alright, making fun of how old this guy is. So Ilva is the great granddaughter of Ja Rule. How many generations is that? I think you've all had enough to drink now. Yeah, you should get it together. Coming from Brooke right there. That's great. Alright, so that's quick work. The firefighting Zvar is on the case. So we got, I don't know, this feels like the kicking claw guard from Alabasta here. These randos that are probably not going to be important to the rest of the story. They're going to go put the fire out. Alright, you got this, firefighters. We're counting on you. Huh? What's that? Yep. Look at that. Yeah, tell me twice. I knew these guys were going to get wrecked on the next page. So, random giant skeleton drawing bats them out of the sky. Everybody's doing Gear 5 eyes. Next page. Okay, we're back with Summers. Yee ha 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 ha. See how shocked those giants were when they got stabbed by the thorns? It's just like the famous saying, every love has its thorns. It's not the saying, but we'll go with it. Never heard of it. Yeah, you're so pathetic. Apathetic. You know that? Love is the passion to reach out and squeeze someone tight, even as you see the thorns up close. Yeah, so this is Sanji's eventual opponent, clearly. Best part of this game is when it's parents and children. Parents hug their kids tight, thorns and all, and then the kids scream and wail. Face their worst nightmare. Mommy and daddy dying in agony. There's real emotion in killing. Thorn fruit. He's a thorn man. I'm taking that, guys. Taking it.
And another one.
That was the very first thing I said when we saw this guy. I was like, let me analyze him. Let's see if there's any clues of what his devil fruit's going to be just by looking at him. And sure enough. So, next page. Death by love. Isn't that just so exciting? No interest. Woman who never knew love. Okay, which route did you choose, Kunko? There was a thick branch that ran down the middle. Okay, we get a little bit of a map here of what I guess is the Route 8 branch. We get the Owl Library, a Western Village, a port, the Walrus School. Somehow Gunko is eating with those bandages still over her face. If they walk straight that way, they'll reach the village's sea clouds. Middle one's good. Stands out better. Makes their utter futility all the more apparent. Summers, I need a bit more salt. Salt. St. Kieranham Dragon fruit mythical type, model Kieran, dream manifesting man. Ooh, dispatch rock salt, gourmet stuff. You can wake up now. Snork. Sing along with the snorks. Alright, dream salt. So he just makes salt out of this guy's dream. What about the sleep tids you pulled out of those brats' dreams? Okay, so now we're giving a name to all of those creatures. They're called sleep tids. Saeed said the communication device is called Dengo-mushi in Japanese. It's similar to Dango-mushi, which means pill bug. I can keep them going at the same time, of course. Hey, this salt goes perfectly with the meal. Anyway, speaking of the giant's boat in the village, apparently they draw rainbows in the sky with those painter rocks. So, tried the salt, it's delicious. Real unique culture they've got. So all we have to do is take one of those to return to the Holy Land. Basically won already, it's too easy. This is a baby game for babies. Full now. All this and 0 calories. Well, it's dream food, so 0 energy too. Haha. Don't worry, Summers. There will be trouble. I saw a pirate ship moored on the sea clouds of the village. The Emperor of the Sea, Straw Hat Luffy, is here. After all of that filler dialogue, we got the last bit there. They know that Luffy is here. Wait, the kids are walking straight towards the fire. See, you didn't expect this. Not to worry. If they die, we can send more. Okay, so this is the Holy Knights worried that the kids are walking to the fire. And being calmed down that they can just find other kids. Alright, great. Back to Loki. Damn you, Loki, go on Hyridin, try and stop me. Okay. But no, Huff, you can't possibly stop me. You can't even lift Ragnar. I just hope no one gets hurt in the Sun World. Oh, that's Gerd. I thought that was Nami. I was gonna be like, what is how is Nami talking? I think everybody's got to admit that that little small Gerd does look like Nami. Alright. They will. The flames will only spread further, so make your choice. You undo the last cuff. Who's this enormous giant? He was really badly injured, so I wanted to help him. Or will you all choose death? I'll only keep taking the lives of those weaklings in the Sun World. Hyridin stops him. If you don't answer me, wait. Zoro stands up. Don't get suckered in, Hyridin. No, Zoro. Guess I gotta do it. If he can move, I'll stop him. That was the deal. Okay, so after Zoro undid his cuffs, now he has the balls to say, don't get suckered in. It's partially your fault, Zoro. Don't make a big, stand like you didn't cause this. Wait, Strahd. He'll electrocute you if you get too close. Okay. Okay, he doesn't understand the properties of rubber. Very well then. Hear your answer. Stop this, Loki. If you hit the children, there's no turning back. Make sure you go easy on him, Luffy, or his wounds will get worse. Okay. Then we've got a Gum here. This is a double-page spread. Loki uses Future Sight and says, "Damn it, I've lost this one." Air balloon. And immediately knocks Loki out. That seemed way too easy. So either this is part of Loki's game, or he really is that weak. He really was at death's door already. He was summoning all the strength he had left on a gamble. If his bluff had worked, he would have escaped, so he could collapse somewhere in secret. I just can't imagine that working based on the amount of blood he lost. It's up to you whether to heal him or let him die, but... I had business with Loki too. I had to wait when I saw how bloody he was. It's true that whoever attempted to kill Loki was a separate incident from the matter of his own crimes. I think I might know who it was. What does Road know? Please, Arden, help him out a little. I don't want to let him die, no matter who he is. Off, Hyruden sort of considering this. Okay, so then we've got Gerd putting him back together. Seems to be something in English written on these IVs. Whole blood? Whale blood? Till he's fully healed, question mark. It'll probably take months. If you really want to see him recover, you shouldn't leave him in a place like this. If he's taken to the village, it will only lead to more calls for execution. They hate him that much. He's an irredeemable scumbag. These horns turned out to be real, huh? They were a holdover of his ancient giant blood. Okay, so they are his real horns. R.I.P. the theory that he took his father's horns and taped them to his head. Just like his father, Harold. We get a, on the next page, we get a look back at Harold and his horns before he cut them off. You are my sons, and I love you both. I want you two to work together to support Elbaf after I'm gone. You can see the size difference between all three. I can't believe this tiny weakling is supposed to be my big brother. Got him. He's got a very Kaido-like mace here. He's beaten down Hyruden. You're just a bastard. You're not our father's legitimate son. Okay. I like that being thrown in there. Hear that, Hyruden? Your mother had filthy blood in her veins. Hyruden pulls out his axe. Free his brother for whatever reason. But it's better if Hyruden does it than Luffy, even though it's on Luffy's command. I've never forgiven him for what he did. He insulted my mother and killed my father. Go on. Do it, you sad little berserker. Or perhaps instead of indulging in your personal petty drama, take a look at the woods around us. They all say I went and killed Dad with pure murder in my heart. But you don't believe that, do you? So, there's more to the story as I expected. It's not as black and white with Loki killing his father. Alright, so we got 2 devil fruit reveals this chapter. We know that the Holy Knights are aware of the Straw Hat's presence here. We get the implied notion that that Loki may not have killed his father, or at least when he killed him, it wasn't pure aggression. His father may have done something that caused him to do it. So Harold could be more evil than we think, and Loki's a good guy. Harold could have been mind controlled or something, you know, going off on a rampage, and Loki stopped him. But because Loki was already, you know, the bad guy, no one would believe that he killed their good king out of respect or reverence for the country in some way. Snail. All right, well, we're moving and grooving with the story here. We're getting to what Oda wants to get to with it. Well, let's take a look at chat. Brandon said Dak went nuts when he saw it possibly red whale blood. Why? What was Dak saying from it? Big Stinky said the scan in this felt very different. I wonder why. Please tell me. PK said Summer's fruit represents the thorns that arise in the love between two people. Given the plant theming and the love theming, what if Summers is who ruined Greenbull's relationship with his lover? I mean, I think it would be a little on the nose to... obviously, you can draw connections between Greenbull and Summers just based on fruits, but if the story actually dictates something between the two of them as well... might feel a little much, but you know, who knows? Yeah. Catching up here. Saeed said, in Japanese, the sleep tids are written as MMA and pronounced as Mu-ma. It's apparently a reference to a nightmare monster in an Anpanman film called Mu-ma. Huh. Muma. I mean, does it have anything to do with Uma being, like a horse? Is there anything with that? That, like, even though he's a dragon, like, hearing him sort of looks like a horse in a way. I don't know. Probably not. I wonder how they got sleep tids from that. I mean, is that just like Viz taking some liberties? Because that seems like a radical departure, a big difference there. Boboyo said this chapter it got confirmed that TCB has an agenda against Zoro. What did they say about Zoro? Crushnut said, biggest question I have this chapter is why does Loki have the bandages over his eyes as a child? He also has the same little bandage bridge over his nose as well. That's a good point. And I didn't pick that up when I was looking at the flashback, but I'm gonna go back to that now. You would think that the bandages were something that they put on him as they, you know, tied him up, but no, he really does have them as a kid. That's crazy. So is he blind? Like Fujitora? And he just relies on his future sight to an observation hockey to fight and know what's going on? That's interesting. Or I wonder if it's like an anime thing, like weighted clothes in Dragon Ball. When you take them off, you'll be way faster and stronger. Like, it gets to a point where he's like, I've had these bandages on for 60-something years, and he takes his bandages off, and then he's a monster because he actually sees everything with his own eyes. More people need to upvote this pun from Double Flevens. They really did a somersault. Hope you came up with that yourself. DK said, I simply hope everyone's having a great day. Right back at you. Matt B said, Randy, those are both also references to UMAs, or unidentified mysterious animals. It's what Japan calls cryptids and alien stuff, which is why Steven said sleeptid. Okay, so it's a play on cryptid. Alright. BK said, TCB had Zoro say, Luffy, are you gonna let him get off that easy? His wounds are about to open up anyway. Instead of Luffy, make sure you go easy on him or his wounds will get worse. mean, those two completely different and distinct characterizations for Zoro there. Yeah, no, I know that the Viz is right just because it's actually Zoro. Like, that's the what Zoro says in the official is what Zoro would say. So that's why we read on Sundays. We get the proper context. No, Mr. Nine, I'm not going to say Zolo. That part I will never agree with. You know, we're here on Sundays as the Zolo-boys, but you know, we also don't acknowledge or we don't vibe with the Zolo stuff here. Stop counting the times I'm saying Zolo, right? It's Zoro. There you go. 99.99% fan. What are some other things that people are talking about with the chapter here? These firefighters rushing in to just get swatted out of the sky might be my favorite moment of the chapter. This scene between the, like, with the Holy Knights talking and everything, it's intended to characterize them, but I feel like there's a lot of, like, nothing happening here. Other than revealing their devil fruits, and then what happens at the end. The salt thing is just kind of weird to me. I know that Oda's building towards something, but I'm starting to get a little impatient. The beginning of the arc, Oda was taking like these massive strides, giving us information and like defining this island and setting up this world and making it really interesting. And there's like a bunch of like S-tier chapters that we were getting. And then I feel like the past few have been just slow walks. Like we kind of like hit a crawl, and Otis really taking his time with a lot of this stuff here, and it's like, okay, but let's get to it. I feel like it, you know, there's so much going on, but yet I don't necessarily feel the danger yet, and I want to. Which almost makes me feel like we need something injected in here. We need something else. The Holy Knights as a group don't necessarily impress me yet. Their powers are cool. What Kieran Ham can do seems really broken. Like, it just creates giant nightmares. So, you know, very Scarecrow and all of that. But I have the suspicion that those things will not be formidable because Oda never really has anything that's like, you know, whenever there's like these huge creatures, they always just get one-shotted for the most part by main characters. So, and I don't want to seem negative when I'm saying all of this. I need another injection of something here. Like, I need Blackbeard. I need Shanks. I need Crocodile. I need someone to show up and like shake things up. I need a Nell to come down from the moon, because the Holy Knights, they're an organization that we've only been told about last year or whatever. And obviously, you know, we've got to set them up as this super strong organization that we're going to have to go up against eventually, and this is laying the groundwork for all of that. And I understand, and I'm appreciative of, you know, the setup that's there, but I also feel, you know, still a little salty that Shamrock, who was like the interesting addition, is, you know, not even being featured in these chapters anymore, and very well could have already left and we won't see him again. And it's like, that guy, I felt the danger. You know, him attacking Loki in the first place was interesting. It was like putting us on this path in this arc where it's like, okay, if this is who we have to go up against, this is gonna be crazy. And then removing him from the arc, now I feel like something's missing. Taking the element of Scopper and like punting it until later in the arc, or maybe even the end of the arc, also creates this sort of vacuum. Not having the Holy Knights interact with any of our main characters is neutering their impact as well. So it's like, if Gunko managed to show up at the Owl Library or whatever and like attacked Robin or attacked Chopper or whatever, like, then I'm like, okay, I'm in. You know, like, now we're doing something. This is crazy. Them sitting having a little lunch in the middle of nowhere, talking about Salt, it feels like just like a little bit of a stutter step to like all of the information that we need to get out here. And Oda's been dragging his feet with everything with Loki and, you know, what his Devil Fruit is, what his deal is. Yeah, at least it feels like in the next chapter or two, we're going to get something. And I feel like the start of these little, you know, 4 panels of a flashback imply that, you know, we could be getting a Loki and Harold flashback, which I feel like we need that ASAP. Like, we need that next week. We need that by, you know, 2 weeks from now, because we've been talking about this for 20 chapters now. And with these characters in front of each other, like, now's the time for Loki to, like, spill the beans. And he doesn't necessarily need to give the whole game away that, like, he's really a good guy, you know, or whatever, or he's misunderstood. It's just, we need to understand where we're going, because the other thing, too, is I don't know how long Oda can hold the veil that Loki's going to be our big bad, because I haven't believed that from the start. So, and at this point, I don't think the Holy Knights are our big bad. I think they steal these kids and they disappear, potentially. Like, I don't know if we're actually, like, fighting them for real here. We may have a skirmish or whatever, but they're just a step to something later on. And it's like something else needs to happen to catapult us. We need a catalyst. And you would think that was the Holy Knights. And I felt like I said earlier, that was what we were getting with Shamrock. But Oda's pivoting. And usually when he pivots, it's because there's something else that's going to happen. And I'm just ready for that pin to drop so I understand where the arc is actually going. Because right now I feel like I'm just in a mystery place. Yeah. So that's my monologue for the stream. Let's see what the chat's saying. DK said, chapter's cool and all, but the big news is that the anime is back soon. Yeah, and they're coming back to my least favorite chapter in the past couple of years. That's what that they're going to be starting real strong with that. I was really hoping that the anime, would have fleshed that time period out or something. That would have been great. We could have had 6 months of filler of like, what happened to Robin? How did she get hurt? Who'd she fight? Whatever. But it is what it is. Crush said, something I was thinking about, Moria's zombies / shadows were countered by salt. Here we have this fruit pulls salt from a dream. Why salt? That's a deliberate choice. Yeah, I mean, my mind immediately went to the Moria salt thing as well, but I don't know. Maybe. I guess now that I'm thinking about it, does someone say, hey, maybe they're like Moria zombies, and then they shoot a bunch of salt at the things, and then they, disintegrate, and that's their weakness? So Kieran Ham is like a mythical version of Moria's fruit in some way? Raid said, do you think Harold sent Hyrodin and the other giants to Ohara? Was that a Saul-led mission? That's something I've not really thought about, as far as if somebody gave them that order. But that's an interesting thing to consider. And I like that you bring it up. It would make Harold interesting if he was invested in the true history in some way. DK said if he's slowing down, maybe he's working towards something math piece related. Maybe. It's usually what happens. Causaria said, also, Gunko says if they die about the children, she cannot redirect them, reinforcing the idea that once their arrows are set, they cannot be changed. So, I mean, maybe that's a way to, a hint about how someone's going to be able to defeat her. So it's a good thing to bring up. Shout out to Barry Motivated member for 46 months who said, like D-Stream. Thanks, Barry. Big Stinky said that Akira Toriyama had this problem with Dragon Ball during the Saiyan arc. Readership went down during the Great Ape fight with Vegeta. The ape was less relatable than Vegeta's human form. Oda has work to do. That's interesting. Now, I mean, I don't know if we're gonna say that like the giants are less relatable than humans or whatever. I feel like there's enough reverence for people like Dory and Brogy that, you know, we can buy some favor with some of these giants, but there's some dots that need to be connected. Crush Not Super Appreciated said, Salt to cancel dream monsters like Moria's Shadows. They pulled Salt out of a dream. Anything they could pull to show Salt seems deliberate. Oh, okay, so this was the message from earlier, but super appreciate it. So yeah, we talked about that. Matt B said, people are seriously underestimating all the God's Knights super hard. I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm underestimating them. I think I'm undervaluing their importance to the overall Elbaf story. Like, if they take these kids, then they're driving the narrative. But like, if they successfully capture these kids, then they're driving the narrative. But even if they take them, they're taking them someplace else. So that's part of my issue as well, because what they're doing is creating a mission where we have to not be on this island. And we've spent 25 years talking about how we want to be here, and now the enemy wants to take us someplace else. And it's like, no, there's things that we need to do here. So that's where I'm like, do they succeed? If they do, I don't know if I'm, you know, fully on board with that. And if they don't, then they're getting a little neutered, because it means that they were countered. And yet these are supposed to be top tiers that we're going to have to fight later on. So there needs to be like a third element here that appears, that shakes things up, that allows their mission to succeed, but stalls us enough to where we can't address that right away, because we have a new matter at hand. Anel comes from the sky. Blackbeard shows up with an ancient weapon. You know, like, whatever. Not that he's got one yet, but it's like, we need something of that caliber to distract us from everything else that's going on. And Loki is not a good enough distraction right now. And maybe that's just me reading too deep into the story and knowing that this character has been set up for so long that they are not the bad guy here. The twist actually would be that he is the bad guy. Vishna said Loki gets a 3-chapter backstory, but it's about Lola rejecting him. Brandon said, not necessarily, Randy. I personally think it's the point of Oda to highlight just how casual the God's Knights treat killing. That aspect is why I think Summers so interesting and effective. Yeah, no, I mean, that Summers right now is, like, he got great characterization this chapter. And if anything, he's layered even more hints that Sanji's going to fight him at some point. Kieran Ham, I need more from, and Gunko I already liked. Vishnu said, I'm wondering what caused Harold to remove his horns if he had them in that flashback. Well, going back to what was brought up earlier by Raid, I think, if he ordered those guys to get the books and then he actually, like, learned about the history, read the books, and if there's something devastating about the ancient Onis that he learns that makes him embarrassed to be one, then I could see him cutting the horns off. But I also don't necessarily get the impression that the Ancient Onis were the bad guys in the Void Century, but maybe this is a hint to that. Shout out to Yamil. Member 46 months said Lola probably thought him to not be a racist bully. You mean taught? Probably taught him to not be a racist bully. That'd be interesting if he was like awful and then somehow like the situation with Lola is what changed him and he like became better. Vasile said, I wonder what if Loki's a badly awakened Zoan? He killed his father and wasn't aware of it. So I think the idea is that if you become a badly awakened Zoan, I think the animalistic side of you takes over and you don't go back from that. Like I think like all of those awakened Zoans and Impel Down, I don't know if they get to go back into their human forms. Like I feel like they're just stuck like that. But who knows? And the recent SBS where he was talking about that and mentioned Lucci really didn't give enough context one way or the other on awakened Zoan, badly awakened Zoans. How old is Loki in that flashback? I mean, in theory, he's probably anywhere from 10 to 20 years old, probably. Keeping in mind that Loki is only roughly 63 years old, somewhere around there, I think. That's the number that's in my mind. And Hyrutin is probably like, give or take 10 to 20 years older than him. I don't know the actual math, and I don't know if it was ever revealed. But I could see him being like in his 80s. Like, whatever Cologne is probably around what Loki is in this flashback. But it's also interesting that Hyrutin doesn't look much older in this flashback than he did in the Big Mom flashback where Loki was born. Hyrutin's 81. Okay, so I was right. I said 80s. Made sense to me. And I was right about 63. Okay. Still here. Still got it. So you did the human math. Loki's 31 and a half. Hyrutin's 40 and a half in human years. He said, seems like Loki's about what Hiruden was in the Big Mom flashback. Yeah, that's what I was basically getting at, or, you know, it's just weird that that would then mean that Hiruden is roughly 20 years older than he was in the Big Mom flashback, but still looks exactly the same. Shout out to my guy Irving in the chat. So this chapter's fire. Yeah, man. We got 2 Devil Fruit reveals. And we need more. I'm hoping for a flashback next week. The theory that Loki's eyes were burned by the big bomb fire is still viable. I mean, I like the idea that things would connect like that. But I don't know. I've never heard that. That's the first time I'm hearing that. Lucky said, is next week 100 chapters since Gear 5? Yep. This is actually 100 chapters since we ended with the little Nika smile panel. That rocked the world. Feels so long ago now. Brandon said, theory, Luffy fights Dream Nika, and the fight becomes Nightmare Luffy versus Dream Luffy. That's interesting. I wonder if we'll ever get a return to Nightmare Luffy. Or will this fight seemingly be a symbolic reversal of that based on what you're saying? And if that's the case, then it furthers the Moria Thriller Bark connections to Kieranham, which is interesting. Loki's got the Jushi no Mi. Yeah. Finally. It's here. You know what that... This is Math Piece. Is DK still here? Because he said, I was talking about how the pacing is so bad, right? That it just feels like everything went to a slow crawl. And DK was like, it's probably something Math Piece related. Next week, we're getting Loki's Devil Fruit reveal. If in chapter 1144, we got the reveal of Sun God Nico, right? Then in 1144, we need to get the reveal of Sun God Nika. That's what we're getting next week. Oh, Oda. That's exactly it. We found our answer. I was like, everything was moving, and then going like this, because he wanted 1144, 100 chapters from Gear 5, Sun God Nika, to reveal the imposter or opposite Sun God Nika. That's what it is. That's what we're getting next week. Is it a break? Let me look. It shouldn't be. We just had a break. So. Seven days. All right. So no break. Yeah, that's what it's gonna be. So watch out for spoilers, everybody, because tomorrow or the next day, tomorrow, Monday or Tuesday, everybody's gonna be talking about it. Loki's Devil Fruit reveal. Guarantee you. If I could put money on it, I'd put money on it right now. After we're talking about it, I'm just like, duh. All right. Hey, Chin. No worries. Everybody's always on time. Ollie said 15 chapters till M58. Return of Crosskilled. Let's go. The countdown begins. Irving said, oh, you might be cooking. I think I am cooking. Chat pointed me in the direction by reminding me, and then it hit me. I was just like, okay, wait, I'm putting it all together. He Devil for real. All right, it's coming. Because it's like we're ending this chapter with Hyrodin basically on the verge of like removing his cuffs, essentially. So in the moment his cuffs come off, he's gonna transform into whatever he can transform into. And I don't know if this is actually a clue, a connection, like what this has to do with any of it, but what is the first thing we see when Luffy goes Gear 5, right? He goes like this. And what's Loki got going on? No eyes. So Luffy covered his eyes, so there's got to be something relevant maybe to his eyes and them being covered, and power maybe? I don't know. Feels like it's more than just symbolic in some way. Audi Chun said Loki also hit that cover eyes pose in a flashback. Yeah, I think I remember that. Maybe they talk about Loki's fruit. The power can somehow increase his recovery rate. Probably. He's got to have some sort of ability, like I've said before, that allows him to manifest things like Luffy can when he's in Gear 5. Something that helps make him more mischievous. God of mischief. Alright, Saeed's telling us a story. The following is related to the Muma monster in Anpanman. A nightmare monster is sealed in the land of dream cats. It has 3 eyes, and the eye on its forehead shoots a beam that transforms things into cats. The eye turns red when this happens. It can also turn its body into a gooey liquid. Additionally, its body is rubber-like, making physical attacks ineffective. It was sealed within the Dream Comet, but it awakened when Balkanmon caused havoc in Nemu Nemu's forest. Nemu is sleep, right? It relentlessly targets its natural enemy, Nyanyi. But after facing Nyanyi, who had become a swordsman, and Anpanman, Nyanyi exploited a moment when it turned into liquid to deliver a decisive blow, turning it into crystal. It was then shattered into pieces by Anpanman's punch. And the point of this story is that the sleep tids, the actual word that Oda wrote in there, calls to this story that Saeed put in the chat. Shin said, shout out to the Kirin Yamato Theory Devil Fruit back in Wano. Yep, I made a whole video about that. That was an L. But we've got a Kirin now. So Ollie said, we heard of a spring near the Walrus School that seemed named like the spring in Norse mythology that the three fates hang out. Could they have taken Loki's eyes in a Faustian bargain? So that's a good thing to bring up. Did they name it Virgulmir? I can't remember. But anyway, the spring that you're talking about in Norse mythology is called Virgulmir. And the idea that Loki could take the Odin story from Norse mythology is interesting. So in Norse mythology, Odin gave up one of his eyes to attain great knowledge. And also stabbed himself with the tree of Yggdrasil and hung there, dying for a long time until he basically came back to life and was like a monster. So I'm really paraphrasing all of that, and like there's way more to it. That's the Spark Notes. So if Loki as a child was offered a choice to give up his eyes for power or something, took it, then we would get that Norse mythology story in a way. Considering that he had the bandages when he was a kid, it seems likely that Oda would probably make that very famous Norse mythology tale part of the Loki lore in this universe. What if Loki only had one eye and gave it up? Like, let's think about Oda. Oda likes to escalate for the sake of escalation. So it's like if Odin in Norse mythology gave up one eye, what if Loki gave up both? You know? So there's that. Rocket Socket said, why is the hammer called Ragnir? So the hammer is called Ragnir because Thor's hammer in Norse mythology is Mjolnir. So Oda took the mule off, and then Ragnarok is the war that Odin predicts will happen and destroy Asgard and everything. So Oda just took the words Ragnarok and Mjolnir and fused them together.
Overwatching me.
Jin said, so Loki's eyes have been sealed since childbirth? That we don't know. But they were at least sealed from the time period of what we see here. So, and if Oda wants to follow Norse mythology, then Loki had to give up the eyes as a choice that he made for something in exchange. And if Oda wants to do something different, then he won't do that. Emilio Farr supered and said, hi Randy, just tuning in. Any new theories soon? I have no videos in the works right now, but we've got theories in the streams every week. So lately I've just been putting it all out here instead of packaging it in videos. But the big theory for this stream is that next week is Loki's Devil Fruit reveal, because it'll be 100 chapters from the Gear 5 reveal, the Sun God Nika reveal. So if Oda wants to do some math piece, 100 chapters from that would be next week's chapter, and we would see whatever form Loki has that makes him believe that he also is Sun God Nika. Sayed said, Oda probably got the idea of the Devil Fruit's naming scheme from the Nemo Nemo no Mi, Sleep Sleep Fruit, in Anpanman. That's interesting. Might have cracked something here, Saeed. So I've never heard of Anpanman, and I don't even know if I'm actually pronouncing it correctly here. But so it's a Japanese children's superhero picture book series. So it was basically like an anime. But you're saying there was a movie as well? It's basically a bread man from what I'm looking at here. Anpanman is insanely popular. I love that so many people in chat know what this is. I didn't. This is my first time hearing about it. The character like looks familiar. Like I feel like when I was in Japan, I might have seen some stuff with this guy on it. I am entirely unfamiliar with this, but now I want to look into it because it's probably something that Oda grew up watching. Because if you look at the years, like it would have started around the time and been going on while Oda was a kid. Anpanman's more popular than Big Bird from Sesame Street. Interesting. So, any other crazy things about the chapter that people have been talking about this week? Because I feel like I've exhausted all my theories. But not Barney Elmo or Bluey. The Muma, from what I can tell, comes from the 16th movie of Anpanman. Okay. Is the branch number 8 connected to the Kuma cross? In what way? I'm confused. Vishnu said this was a Gerd chapter, so I'm happy. I mean, Gerd was in the chapter. Still laughing at that small little panel of Gerd, and I was just like, you know, indicating that she was the one talking. I'm like, what is Nami doing there? It's like one of the first times that I've really sunk into the all girls are drawn the same meme. Jin said, oh yeah, Randy, people are saying that Mushu's powers solidified Ange's position as a traitor. Well, we talked about that, you know, last chapter, that, I mean, it's way too convenient for someone with this ability to suddenly have access to all of these children's nightmares because of a random prompt at school. Like, Oda's a better writer than that. So, Ange is a traitor. Kay said, we need a stream where Randy goes live, but it's Chrissy pretending to be Randy for the entire stream. Chrissy does not have the encyclopedic knowledge that I have, so it would be a lot of nonsense, which would be hilarious. She'd just be saying things to say things, probably. Using his Yale math piece. The math piece is real every 5 minutes. Takes care of that. Okay. Brandon said, in the TCB, the pill bug phones are called telediction phones. Chin likes when Chrissy shares stories of me and does impressions of my quotes. Duran thinks that Ange is going to end up being Harold's loyal servant or something. I mean, we're setting up that in this chapter that Harold is probably the bad guy, you know, or was the bad guy. So maybe he was, you know, in cahoots with the world government and the Holy Knights and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, Ange could have worked for him. And also, Ange being Saul's personal assistant at the library that houses all of the things that the world government does not want people to know, right? Keeps someone in-house to make sure that that information doesn't really, like, leave that area. So it makes sense. I mean, it's a repeat of Khalifa, which doesn't excite me, but it makes sense, I guess. Hey, Kakia. Saeed said, I'm just taking an educated guess here, but Muma probably comes from Akumu, the word for nightmare, and the word for demon or evil spirit, Akuma. Muma. I'm assuming that you're also taking that educated guess because somewhere in the kanji or katakana or whatever, it's the same ones from each. So, probably not far off. Probably spot on. Shin said also Saul doesn't have observation hockey, didn't see the Thorns coming. I mean, you can have observation hockey and not have future sight, though. All it really says is that you have to, like, when you're power scaling, you have to put, like, Satori and, like, NL's priests above Saul. That's all. Because they were able to see different types of moves coming. Jedman said, Muma's dream monster fairly literally. It's just written in katakana, so there's no clues. Got it. Oh. I think I'm gonna wrap up early this week, guys. I'll take probably like another 2 minutes to see what else comes in, and then if it's interesting, we'll talk about it. And then other than that, we'll be back here for 11:44 to get that sweet Loki Devil Fruit reveal next week. Jibin said Yume or Ma is magic. Like, well, magic is Maho, right? But in this context, you think of which is a magic monster. Okay. I did not see the jump cover. Yeah, please send that for me, Brandon. The Dream Devil Fruit is really cool. Looking forward to seeing it in battle. I just want to see who fights him, you know? Like, it could be fun for, like, an Usopp thing. It could even be interesting as a Luffy thing. And things are being set up for Sanji versus Summers, but it would also be fun if it was Robin. You know, like, how do you touch someone that you can't touch? And then trying to figure, you know, your way out of backing yourself into that corner. So. But. I think Brandon's sending the jump cover over. I could probably Google it too, and then I'll probably run. Oh, I see it. That's interesting. So we got Luffy, Zoro, and Loki on the front cover of Jump. That's cool. I mean, we already got Loki's color reveal from the volume. So, but this is fun. That's a good one. She said, "Is it only Loki that can lift up the hammer?" I mean, you know, there's a line in this chapter that implies that it may have, you know, the properties of Mjolnir. The only person who can lift it is someone who's worthy, but it's probably more that it's so big and so heavy that it's you know, impossible to lift. So, but as we have seen, there is an owl in the owl library that can change the size of inanimate objects, and if the hammer itself cannot change sizes like in the lore, then it'd be great if that owl makes that light enough for Usopp to start carrying around. And I'll leave you guys with that one. I'm gonna run. So, thanks for hanging out with me this week, everybody. Take care. Have a great week, and I will see you for 11:44 next week. Mr. Nine said, I hate it when people say Usopp needs an upgrade. Usopp needs an upgrade. And so does Frankie. And so does Brooke. So does Robin. Kind of Nami. And so does Vivi. Later, everybody. I'll leave you with that. Oh, and Chopper. Chopper needs one too.
I've been swimming deep, deep. Savage.